Well, Richie here, my fellow drifting maniacs, and in today's video I'm going to talk you through what I think are the top 10 RC bashers out there on the market today. In this video I'm not just going to talk about the features of the cars, I'm going to talk about my logic and reasoning behind putting them in this top 10 order and what features make a good basher, from things like cost, spare parts, durability, etc, etc. As with a basher, speed is not necessarily the main thing, but it does come into play as well. Hopefully that logic will make sense when you see my top 10 RC bashers for 2020. And at number 10 we have ARRMA Granite 4x4, which is available in two flavours. The new 550 mega version, 30 mile an hour quoted top speed. I would suggest a far better option, which is the ARRMA Granite 4x4 3S BLX, 50 plus miles an hour top speed. I personally can attest to it achieving that. So let's have a quick look at new features on both the cars, both of which are the V3 ones. We've got a new tougher chassis, both front and rear, and we've got a larger pull tab on the power module. Not only improves sealing to reduce dirt ingress, I should imagine it makes it much easier to undo than the outgoing one. And we've got castellated slipper pads on here for improved toughness, and the new safety 5 pinion. So there's both two very good features about both of these cars. The only difference separating them appears to be the brushless power plant. We've got redesigned steering, so extra room to allow stones and debris to fall out when bashing, rather than in the older version where stones used to get under here and you used to have to turn the car upside down to remove them. And they both feature the new Spectrum SLT3 radio. I will leave you to have your own say on that, but it does have a 50 and 75% throttle switch, which is ideal for beginners. Spectrum servo, not a lot to write home about on there, although it's got 15% more torque than the outgoing ADS 7M servo has. Well, it's this tough brushless ready transmission. Obviously one of these cars is the brushless version and has that gear fitted to it already, but basically the brush version also has the same gears, so you can upgrade the car immediately to brushless. Same gears as the ARRMA 4S on there, which has to be good news, as these diffs, sorry ARRMA, weren't that good. One of the key reasons the ARRMA Granite 4x4 makes it onto the list is ease of access to work on. Very, very easy indeed with this modular construction on it. Very easy to remove the motor and the powertrain on there. Likewise the electric module all comes out, so it's very, very easy to work on. The only reason it's number 10 as opposed to number 9, as the spare parts on number 9 are a little bit easier to come by. But I'll put a link to both the 550 mega version and the BLX version below the video. So what's at number 9? Well, at number 9 we have the TRAXXAS Stampede 4x4. In this list of top 10 bashers, the TRAXXAS Stampede 4x4 comes in at number 9. Purely because there are a lot more upgrade and option parts available out on the market there for it. Spares are a little bit cheaper across the board, and they are a lot more accessible. Virtually any hobby store you go into is going to be carrying Stampede 4x4 spares. Much like the ARRMA, it does come in a few different variants, from the unassembled kit at $269, where you can add all of your own electrics so you can make the thing into a monster, through to the basic Stampede 4x4 proven bashing ability. This thing has won award after award, as you will see, and that's proven by the Stampede 4x4 VXL version. And I know it's $80 more than the Granite 4x4 brushless version, but where the Granite version does 50 miles an hour, this thing with a VLX motor in there and the optional pinion on is going to hit closer to 65 miles an hour plus on there. So you are getting quite a bit more speed for your extra $80. Now, while this has got a plastic spur gear, you will note so did the ARRMA Granite. But the Slash 4x4 has also got metal geared differentials, very modular in construction, making it very easy to work on, which is ideally what you want from a basher. As I say, self-writing on that. Nice simplistic layout, which again makes it very easy for beginners to work on. Even if you've never picked up a spanner in your life or a screwdriver, you should be able to work on the Stampede 4x4 without any problem at all. Anyway, I'll put a link to the kit, the basic Stampede version and the VXL version in a link below the video. And at number 8 we have the ARRMA MOJAVE 6S BLX. I've driven my friend Fog City RC's MOJAVE and the thing handles like an absolute dream. 60 plus miles an hour, I'm sure is more than capable of doing that. It is super stable at speed. If you're wanting to get your first big RC basher, I would say this should definitely be on your shortlist. As well, it's 1/7 electric on here. When you actually see one, it looks that big. It feels more like a 1/6 or a 1/5 scale car. Now I'm going to drop down to the gigasite in a minute, but just the other week, ARRMA released a roller version of this as well, called a MOJAVE EXB full option roller, which, as the name suggests, it comes just as a roller. You've got to fit your own electrics to this one, but you could go crazy, fit an A-test setup on that, etc, 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 etc. So it gives you a lot more options. And this car is packed full of upgrades compared to the stock one. We've got a new uprated front upper suspension mount, new steering rack, new aluminium top plate, new aluminium servo mount, front centre chassis brace, which appears to be much thicker and stronger, and a rear centre chassis brace as well. It's got a new aluminium chassis. Well, I'm told this is the same thickness as the MOJAVE 6S stock version. This chassis is actually made of a stronger aluminium. And we've also got revised front shock towers and rear shock towers as well. So there's a lot to like about this if you want the ultimate in toughness. But switching back to the stock MOJAVE 6S BLX, this truck does come ready to run. Unlike the XB one, you've got everything included with it. Now this doesn't come with all of the upgraded parts that are fitted to the EXB on here, but still stock out the box. This thing is an absolute bashing demon on it. It comes with the BLX 150 amp ESC and the ubiquitous BLX 2050 kV motor, providing huge amount of torque and top speed. You've also got a nice integrated roll cage under the body to keep that a little bit more secure. And as you can see from the layout there, the car is relatively straightforward to work on, a little bit trickier than the cars at number 10 and number 9 when it comes to working on things like the differentials, which do require a little bit more effort to get to. But at the same time, this car all metal transmission on there will prove tougher than number 10 and number 9 on the list. Anyway, if you like the look of either the MOJAVE 6S or the EXB, I'll put a link to them both below the video. And at number 7, Richie's Curveball, the Red Cat Kaiju. Curveball is the new-ish Red Cat Kaiju 1/8 scale 6S ready monster truck. It's because not only should good bashers be tough, easiest to work on, they should also be at a good price ideally, and at $399.99 this is very difficult to ignore, and that is one of the reasons why I just snuck in above the ARRMA MOJAVE. And if you've not seen any videos of this yet on YouTube, I suggest you check them out. The LCU next Tuesday boys put up a great one the other week which really caught my eye, as if they can bash this thing without causing too much damage to it, then the thing's got to be fairly bulletproof. Looks quite a nice layout, should be relatively easy to work on, as most Red Cats are on that. And a couple of features that caught my eye, not only this very nice multi-position wheelie bar at the back. One thing that jumps out and out, we've got metal CVD, what appears to be metal CVD drive shafts, and we've got big bore aluminium shocks. Although we only have a plastic shock tower on there. Both of those metal features definitely caught my eye when looking through this one now. And at that price, I really think it's very, very hard to ignore this with its 6S system. And that's a 25 kilogram servo turned upside down there, which is stronger than any of the ones on any of the cars I've shown you so far. And hence, for those reasons, this is why this is Richie's Curveball at number 7. Link to the car below the video. And the mighty TRAXXAS SLASH Steel Spot number 6. We have one of the most proven bashers out there. It's the TRAXXAS SLASH 4x4. At first glance, this may look slightly expensive at $319. Versus some of the brushless 3S ARRMA models. Bear in mind this is just brush, but you are getting an awful lot of truck for your money. Proven bashing platform. The spares are absolutely dirt cheap for this car. It's available in the 4x4 version as in 3 different variants. This one you may have issues with the price on, but move up $80 to the Slash 4x4 VXL, and for $80 more, you've not got a top speed of 50 miles an hour like the 3S ARRMAs. This thing is doing 60, 65 miles an hour pretty much straight out of the box. Proven bashing platform, the ultra reliable Valinian 3,500 kV motor on here. The truck is, and it's got goodies like the metal differentials on it. Its modular construction means it is incredibly easy to work on, which is one of the key things I would say you want to be looking for in a basher. Anything goes wrong on this car, very easy to replace. It's made quite a bit of plastic in there, but that means it tends to bounce off things and flex back into place rather than bend if it was purely all metal. very, very easy indeed to work on. Just check out that layout. You can reach everything. You can have the motor and the ESC out of there in a couple of seconds just by removing 4 or 5 screws on that. Proven bashing platform, and that is why on it, it's cheap and plentiful parts supply, combined with a whole host of mods that you can get for the car out there, as well as even a 2-wheel drive version at the base end through to the ultimate version at the top end, featuring low centre of gravity chassis, metal geared servo, heavy duty suspension arms, and the all important GTR shocks. So to my mind, the TRAXXAS SLASH 4x4 ticks an awful lot of boxes. Probably one of the ultimate bashers out there, which many people started out on. I'll put a link to all of the cars below the video. At number 5, we have the ARRMA Outcast, one of the best bashers I've owned. I really thought I'd forgotten them. One of my favourite all-time bashing trucks is the ARRMA Outcast 6S BLX. 60 plus miles an hour, more like 65 miles an hour with the optional pinion fitted to it. This was classed as the original stunt truck. There is now the ARRMA Notorious out, but the Outcast and the Notorious are identical under the skin. And this was certainly the first 6S full-on basher that I had. Now, how tough is it? Watch this clip where I was living in New Jersey and I backflipped it 30 foot off the top of a barn. And in slow-mo, there we go, about 25 to 30 feet off the barn roof, lands on all 4 wheels and drives away without any problem. To say this is one of the ultimate bashers out there, but it still only makes number 5, so what is ahead? Well, we'll see in just a second. It is very, very easy to work on. They've strengthened the truck considerably, but for a start, it's got a full metal drivetrain. Metal diffs, both front and rear, metal spur, etc, etc. Aluminum shock towers, big bore shocks on it. There is a lot to like about this truck. The only thing you have to be careful on is not to run it into a wall, because you will know that bumper is behind the front line of the wheel, so you want to avoid any head-on impacts with it. That said, it will land nose down into the ground and just bounce off the wheels on there, but you wouldn't want to necessarily run it into a brick wall. There are some outstanding videos of it in action on the ARRMA website. It's been considerably improved over the years. We've now got a slip and slide motor mount for easy meshing, so ARRMA have listened to the customers, and that allows you to remove the motor for the to to pinion really easily. And the centre diff, very easy to remove, 5 bolts holding it in place, and it just pops out like a dream. So very, very easy to work on, which is always the sign of a good basher. So how good a basher is it? Well, this little brace here actually links into the body, so if the body lands upside down, all the shock is simply transmitted down through the chassis from there. But you can see from all the bracing on it, you can see this thing is built to withstand some serious punishment. It has some neat features designed for bashing, like captured ball ends, which will never pop off. It also comes with a solid aluminum chassis on there, but don't expect it to stay looking this good for that long when you're out bashing with it. D-Boots backflip tyres, providing all the traction you need to flip, wheelie and spin, and it will do a standing backflip, just like in this clip I shot some while back, and it really is the king of the standing backflip, as can be seen from there. Absolutely outstanding, and more fun, to use that rich expression, than you can shake a stick at. And there we go, in slow motion. Absolutely outstanding. In fact, that's a double backflip, and we still managed to land wheels up. But all in all, I would say with that 60 plus mile an hour performance on there, combined with the ability to do standing backflips and just do crazy things in the air, the ARRMA Outcast 6S firmly deserves its position at number 5 on the top 10 bashers list. Link to it below the video. But the TRAXXAS REVO VXL comes in at number 4 due to the speed. Before we have the mightily impressive TRAXXAS REVO VXL. Why is this at number 4? Well, I'll tell you the factors which I think come into it. First of all, it's got a 70 plus mile an hour top speed. That's a full 10 miles an hour faster than the Outcast. It's virtually as wide as it is long, which means it handles very, very well at speed. Look at how low slung it is, even though it's a monster truck. This thing will corner like it's on rails. And another key factor in my decision here is the spares, both the pricing and the availability. The spares are a lot more reasonable for the REVO VXL than they are for the ARRMA Outcast, and you can be able to find them pretty much at any model store close to you. So I hope you understand my logic to that. As a good basher, not only needs to be tough, but it also needs to be easy to repair, which this is, as I'll show you in just a second, with one minor exception. But for a good basher, when it does break, you really do need easy access to spares, and you don't want those spares costing a fortune, particularly in this economic market. It's also got the self-righting mechanism on there, which people either love or hate, but if your car flips over when it's 300 feet away from you, that can really save you a heck of a long walk on it. You pretty much got a full metal drivetrain on here with metal diffs, drive shafts, etc. and that brutal 6S power. These accelerate like an absolute rocket. Saw mine a while back out with the Bay Area Bashers the other week, and a couple of the guys were running them and they were making me think maybe it's time to buy another one, Richie. But we shall see. I do wonder if they're going to bring out an updated one. Some excellent videos on the TRAXXAS website. And another thing that makes it such a good basher and handles so well, inboard suspension. Now, if you know anything about the history between ARRMA and TRAXXAS, it was this inboard suspension that was a bit of an issue between the two companies, but nonetheless, it does handle and make the car handle exceptionally well. Twin steering servos on there to aid in the car's handling, and they've got a great slider on the TRAXXAS website which you can touch upon all these points and see what everything does, and this is the layout from above. The only thing I would say is if there's any issue with the inboard suspension, it can be a little bit tricky taking that apart and disassembling it, but no big issue if you've got reasonable technical skills on there. But overall the car is very, very tough indeed, handles like an absolute dream, floats through the air like a butterfly, and has to be highly recommended. But it's the spares availability, price of the spares, and that extra top speed that just nudges it into position 4 above the Outcast. Link to the car below the video. And at number 3, well, I couldn't leave out the ultimate street basher, INFRACTION Street Bash 6S BLX, for a good reason. If you live in an urban area where you've not necessarily got access to big jumps, a skate park nearby, fields to run over, grass to jump through, etc., this is definitely the car for you. You can behave like an absolute hooligan with this car. Out of all my RCs, this is probably the most fun car I own to drive. 80+ mile/hour top speed quoted. RC Innovation has pushed one of these with the optional pinion stock out the box to 92 miles an hour. So 80+ miles an hour is a very, very low estimate indeed. Now, literally, this thing just smokes the tyres. That's right, when the tyres are warmed up with the 6S power on here, they will actually produce smoke. And here's yours truly on a mission to smoke his way through $60 worth of rubber, and that's definitely real smoke coming off the tyres. This thing is unreal. The only downside, you will burn through so much money smoking these tyres, it is untrue. I can get through a full set in one battery pack, but I have never had so much fun blowing $60 as driving my ARRMA INFRACTION. So let's take a closer look. Well, first of all, it's available in white or blue, but let's get straight down to the detail. To aid in that street bashing, it's now got a vented disc brake, so you can pull handbrake turns, making it into the ultimate hooligan. We've got a Spectrum 2050 kV motor powered by a new Spectrum Firma Smart ESC on there. New roller bearings for added strength to stop vibration on the centre drive shaft, meaning it is a better basher on the street than the version 1 was. And I've got the version 1 car and absolutely love the thing to bits. And there's a great video of it on the ARRMA website showing this thing drifting around a baseball diamond on air. That's right, you can take this thing off-road to an extent if you want. In fact, some of the most fun I've had with this car is drifting the thing on loose gravel. And in this short clip, we can see just how much fun you can have by simply introducing some short gravel to the ARRMA INFRACTION 6S BLX Street Bash. Not had so much fun making a video as this as in years. To my mind, it is definitely the ultimate street basher and very, very easy to work on indeed. The only maybe weak point, it's still got the original 15M servo in there, but that handbrake, oh mama, don't get me started on that handbrake, and you can retrofit that to your original INFRACTION. At least when ARRMA get them in stock you can. Big ball shocks all round, huge foam bumper at the front to put up with any impact, although the speed this thing will be going 80 miles an hour. Try not to hit anything for goodness sake on there, but it will put up with an awful lot of abuse. It's even got the red tower to tower brace for added strength on there. Not that you're going to be jumping this thing in too much of a hurry, but as I say, it is one of my favourite cars and certainly deserves its position at number 3 on the top 10 bashers list. I didn't say they're all cars that jumped. This is the ultimate street basher to my mind. Link to it below the video. Number 2, for sheer terms of big air, it's the ARRMA KRATON 6S. To our list of top 10 RC bashers, I've gone for the ARRMA KRATON 6S BLX. I'll explain my reasoning behind this in just a second. Until recently, There was only this model available in a couple of colours until the other week this came out. The ARRMA KRATON full option roller. Doesn't come with any electrics, as the name suggests, it's just a rolling chassis. But what a rolling chassis, as I'll come on to discuss in just a second. But the stock car, ready to run 60 miles an hour plus. If you looked at this, you could see what TRAXXAS were thinking of when they came out with the REVO VXL. What makes this car so special in the hands of people like Rich Duperbash and Thomas Peterson out there, who have done just crazy things, is what lies beneath the skin compared to the REVO. So while there's just over 60 plus mile an hour top speed on it, there is a lot more to this car than meets the eye. So let's have a dive inside and then take a look at that EXB roller. So what makes the ARRMA KRATON 6S BLX such a great basher? Well, besides that super wide stance, look at the thing, it's nearly as wide as it is long. Well, this is the latest version with all the latest goodies on it, like the slip and slide, motor mount, captive ball ends that don't pop off, new servo saver for 2019, and that bracing. Tower to tower brace, front and rear braces on here, and that tower at the top protects the bodywork, taking all of the shock for those upside down landings through the chassis, much the same as with the Outcast. Now, you will know, is there a new version of this car coming along? Because this is the ARRMA motor as opposed to a Spectrum motor, and that ESC is the ARRMA one as opposed to the new Smart Spectrum one. So that leads me to think a new KRATON 6S is not that far off. Now, this is one of the only ARRMAs I've not owned, but noticing that about the electrics makes me think it's worthwhile waiting, as there could well be a new updated version of this with the new Spectrum electrics on the way. But everywhere you look on the ARRMA website, this thing is pretty much absolutely bulletproof, you would think, until that is, they introduce this, the ARRMA KRATON full option roller. What makes this so special? Well, all the money you've saved with not having electrics included in it takes the form of a new upgraded chassis, same thickness as the existing one, but this is a stronger form of aluminum, new limited slip differentials, both front and rear, completely redesigned, all metal internals throughout to handle even greater power, and the diff gears even feature wider teeth, making them much stronger. Heavy duty turnbuckles, heavy duty front and rear arms, and the list goes on and on and on with this car. Just about everything you can think of has been upgraded on it to make it the ultimate basher on there. More red, shiny, thicker aluminum on there than you can care to imagine. So you want to make the ultimate basher, if you've already got your own electrics, this is the one for you. I'll put a link to that below the video, but if you just want to get a ready to run one, this is one of the best cars out there. And the fact is, the KRATON features an all metal drivetrain, metal chassis on there, metal big ball shocks all round. It's probably one of the ultimate bashing machines, or the ARRMA KRATON full option roller. The choice is yours. I'll put a link to them both below the video. And at number one, still returning its top spot as the top basher, TRAXXAS 8S. Well, sorry to spoil the party, but it's the TRAXXAS 8S XMAXX. 50 mile an hour plus capability. I held off buying one for a long time, predominantly because my friends in New Jersey used to lend me theirs all of the time. I now have absolutely no regrets about buying this car at all. I bought this over and above the ARRMA KRATON 8S, did think very strongly about buying the KRATON 8S. Then I watched the video of Kevin Talbot's comparing the 8S XMAXX and the KRATON 8S, and he highlighted the cost of the spare parts. XMAXX chassis, around about $20. KRATON 8S chassis, round about $100. That just was the nail in the coffin to my mind. And when you've seen what this can do in the hands of Kevin Talbot, the abuse that Kevin puts this car through, it is definitely the ultimate basher out there. And it's comparable with the ARRMAs on price. Relatively easy to work on, I would say, pretty much bulletproof. You can get it horribly wrong with this thing and it just bounces, bends, flexes back into place. Even when you're pushing it hard like Kevin has done, it's very hard indeed to actually break anything on it. Massively strong metal gears on the card. It can certainly handle all the abuse I throw at the thing. And talking of abuse, there's some awesome videos on the TRAXXAS website, but if you really want to see it as the ultimate basher, then check out Kevin Talbot's videos of it, and you'll see why I made the decision I did in getting one, and why I think it is the #1 basher out there still. Whilst it's relatively easy to work on, you've obviously got quite a few screws holding everything down in there, but relatively easy access, and it's quite modular in its construction. But it's that spare parts pricing, spare parts availability, and I have to say the TRAXXAS warranty, TRAXXAS support is worth its weight in gold at this top end. Like I say, you phone TRAXXAS, you get them through to someone within 2 to 3 minutes who can sort out your issue with anything that you might have that's fell under warranty, or even a simple question about how the car operates. And I love the modular chassis design of the car. I mean, you can literally remove the front and rear end in just a few minutes to get easy access to all of the diff and everything that you might need to from day-to-day maintenance on there. So, love it or hate it, the 8S TRAXXAS XMAXX is still king of the pile, and it's for all the reasons I've just mentioned as to why the TRAXXAS 8S XMAXX is still king of the pile and #1 basher out there to my mind. Will anybody knock it off the pile? If it is going to be, it might be ARRMA, but bear in mind, this car's been out quite a while, so I do wonder what TRAXXAS are working on in terms of a new and improved version, which we might see over the course of the next 12 months. Anyway people, hope you enjoyed my walkthrough of what I think are the top 10 RC bashers out there for 2020. Thanks for watching. Well, thumbs up if you like this video, guys. Post any comments you might have in the comment section below the video, and hit the circle below to subscribe. And if you do hit the circle, don't forget to hit the bell.